The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead like dying insects, casting harsh shadows across the polished marble floor. A man in worn jeans and a faded t-shirt stood quietly, almost invisible among the gleaming displays of luxury watches and diamond-studded accessories. Whispers swirled around him, sharp with judgment, each glance cutting deeper than the last. But his eyes carried something the pristine world around him couldn't recognize. A quiet storm behind perfect composure. In that glittering temple of wealth, where everything had a price, he seemed to hold the one thing none of them possessed, an unshakable sense of self. The air thickened as if the universe itself was holding its breath, waiting for a lesson that would shatter every assumption. The boutique gleamed like a cathedral of commerce. Crystal chandeliers scattered rainbow prisms across walls lined with suits worth more than most people earned in a year. Display cases groaned under watches that could buy homes, jewelry that could fund educations, accessories designed not for use but for status. The air reeked of expensive leather and subtle desperation, the need to prove value through possessions. Keanu moved through the space with the calm grace of someone used to observing rather than being observed. His weathered jacket spoke of real journeys, not designer showrooms. His scuffed boots whispered of miles walked, not curated style. "Excuse me, sir." The voice was precise, cold. Manager Richard Holbrook approached with the polished smile of a man who had spent decades perfecting polite dismissal. His suit was flawless Italian wool, his hair styled with products that cost more than most people's weekly groceries. His eyes judged with the efficiency of a scanner. "I'm afraid this establishment caters to a very specific clientele," he said, his tone dripping superiority. Other customers noticed. Women wrapped in designer labels announcing their husband's success. Men flashing watches that could feed villages, all of them sharing the smug belief that wealth equaled worth. Keanu paused by a display of Italian leather shoes, each pair handcrafted by artisans whose names were famous but faces forgotten. He studied his reflection in the glass, a man who had touched millions with kindness, whose reputation for decency stood in stark contrast to the cruelty of the industry he worked in. "I'm looking for a gift," he said softly, his voice warm and steady. "Something special for someone who matters more than words can say." Holbrook's laugh cut like broken glass. "I'm sure you'll find plenty of thrift stores more suitable for your budget. This is not a place for window shopping, my friend." The word friend dripped with condescension. Around them conversation stilled, phones discreetly lifted, ready to record what they thought would be an amusing humiliation. A woman in pearls whispered loudly enough to be heard, "How embarrassing. Security is getting so lax these days." The boutique fell silent, the air heavy with cruel anticipation. Keanu's fingers traced the edge of a silk tie, its dangling price tag a small flag of exclusion, yet his posture remained steady, his calm radiating like quiet fire. He had faced storms far greater than this: loss, heartbreak, tragedy. What was judgment compared to that? Holbrook didn't see it. He mistook silence for weakness. "Security!" he barked, his voice booming across the marble hall. Two guards stepped forward like summoned demons, muscles tight, faces hard. The atmosphere shifted from tension to hostility. Phones angled higher. Customers leaned in like vultures circling a feast. "Better than dinner theater," muttered an old man in a suit worth more than a car. Watch them toss him out, but Keanu remained still. His hands rested calmly behind his back, his eyes steady, his voice even. "I'm not here to cause trouble. I only wanted to buy something for someone whose kindness has meant everything to me." Holbrook sneered, moving closer. "Listen, poor guy," he said, venom disguised as pity. "This isn't a charity. These watches cost more than you'll ever see. These suits feed families for months. This place is for people who earned the right to be here, not for someone who dresses like, well, you." The cruelty spread through the room like poison. Some nodded. Others shifted uncomfortably, realizing they were watching something uglier than exclusivity, something closer to humiliation as entertainment. But beneath it all, a current built around Keanu, not rage, but power. Quiet, immovable, undeniable. The manager had just made a mistake that would echo through that boutique, long after the lights dimmed, because sometimes the most powerful people in the room are the ones no one expects. A few customers shifted uneasily, realizing they weren't witnessing social order but something closer to organized cruelty. Yet Keanu's expression stayed calm, serene, almost meditative, as if he drew strength from a deeper well of compassion, untouched by the shallow judgment around him. His breathing was steady, his posture unchanged. He seemed to know that cruelty always revealed more about the aggressor than the target. Behind the counter, a young sales associate named Emma fidgeted nervously. She had been at the boutique only 3 months, taking the job mainly for the employee discount. But her true passion was film, and something about the man being humiliated stirred a memory she couldn't place. Her hand trembled as she lifted her phone, the voice and presence before her tugging at something familiar. Holbrook, the store manager, raised his voice for all to hear. "You have 30 seconds to leave voluntarily, or these gentlemen will escort you out the front doors for the whole street to see. Trust me, you don't want to add public humiliation to whatever failures brought you here." The countdown had begun, but what none of them realized was that their time was running out. "Wait." The word slipped from Emma's lips, her phone screen glowing in her hand. On it was a recent paparazzi photo from a charity gala. Those same gentle eyes, that same quiet dignity. Recognition struck like a thunderclap. Her phone slipped from her grip, clattering to the marble floor. Every head turned as she pointed, her voice trembling. Oh my God. That's Keanu Reeves." Silence fell, thick, crushing. The air itself seemed to shift as the realization swept through the boutique. Holbrook's face drained of color. His mouth opened and closed soundlessly, arrogance collapsing into dread. The security guards froze, suddenly ashamed, their authority evaporating. Customers who had been filming lowered their phones, realizing they had recorded not a petty spectacle but evidence of their own cruelty. Mrs. Hamilton, the pearl-draped woman who had sneered the loudest, felt her jewelry tighten like chains. She remembered the stories, the quiet donations to children's hospitals, the pay cuts so film crews could be paid more, the kindness that had made Keanu Reeves a legend of humility in an industry built on ego. An elderly man whispered, horrified, "We're going to be on TMZ by tonight. This will be everywhere." But Keanu simply turned to Emma and smiled, a warm, genuine smile that transformed the hostile boutique into something almost sacred. "Thank you," he said softly, as if her recognition had lifted a great weight. Emma rushed forward, tears spilling. "I recognized your voice right away, but I couldn't believe it. You're so humble, nothing like other celebrities. Your movies, The Matrix got me through depression. John Wick helped me after my dad passed. You've always been a reminder that kindness is real, and to watch this happen to you..." She broke off, overwhelmed. The room buzzed with whispers. People realized they hadn't just witnessed humiliation. They had participated in it. Their cruelty had been exposed in front of a man whose reputation was built on compassion. "Mr. Reeves," Emma continued, steadying herself. "Most people love you. You've given us hope. You've shown the world that fame doesn't have to corrupt, that success doesn't require cruelty." Holbrook stood frozen, his perfect world collapsing around him. This wasn't just any customer, this was Keanu Reeves. Then Keanu spoke again, his voice calm but carrying weight like stone in water. "Don't apologize for recognizing me. That's not what matters. Apologize for how you treat people when you think no one important is watching." The words landed like a verdict. The boutique would never be the same. He stepped toward the display he had been studying earlier, his hand hovering over a luxury watch. "This," he said softly, "isn't valuable because of its price. It's valuable because of what it represents, the time we're given, and how we choose to use it." And with that, the room knew, this moment, this quiet rebuke, would outlast any headline. Time. The only currency that truly matters, the only thing we possess, and the only thing we can never earn back once spent. It's what we give when we choose kindness over convenience, compassion over judgment. Emma stepped forward cautiously, tears still streaming as she tried to process the moment. Her hero, mocked, then recognized, was now delivering a lesson in humanity to people who had forgotten what it meant to be human. "Mr. Reeves," she said, her voice trembling, "please let me help you find whatever you're looking for. Whatever it is, it should be yours. The store, after what happened, we should give it to you as an apology." Keanu shook his head, smiling with both sadness at cruelty and hope for human potential. "I don't want anything for free, Emma. And thank you for wearing a name tag that reminds us all that every person in every service position is a human being with dreams and dignity. I never have wanted things for free, and I never will. But I would like to purchase that watch, not because I can easily afford it, but because someone very special in my life deserves to know that their time, their presence is precious beyond measure. He pulled out his black credit card, simple, understated, the weight of a fortune built not on exploitation but on talent, hard work, and genuine connection. The boutique erupted in camera flashes. Customers who had mocked him now scrambled to associate with him. Mrs. Hamilton, the woman with pearls, pushed forward, her cruelty forgotten in her desperation. "Mr. Reeves, I'm such a huge fan. Could we take a photo together? The Matrix is my favorite film series of all time." But his eyes met hers with a look that was neither angry nor forgiving, simply truthful. "Mrs. Hamilton," he said, reading her name from the credit card she had left on the counter. "5 minutes ago you called me an embarrassment and questioned how I got past security. I don't think we need a photograph to remember this interaction." The silence was crushing. Others who had prepared the same request lowered their eyes. Redemption, they realized, would not come from a selfie. Holbrook, the manager, felt his career unraveling in real time. The headlines, the firestorm, the investigation, it was all rushing toward him. But worse was the mirror suddenly placed before him, reflecting who he truly was without the filters of wealth and position. "Mr. Holbrook," Keanu said, turning to him, "you've built your identity around gatekeeping, deciding who deserves respect based on appearance and status. But here's what I've learned in more than 50 years. The measure of a person isn't in their bank account or wardrobe. It's in how they treat people who can do nothing for them." He gestured toward Emma, who clutched a tissue, still overwhelmed. This young woman recognized what all your years in luxury retail couldn't. Not because she's smarter, but because she remembers that every person who walks through that door carries a story you know nothing about, battles you can't see, and every one of them deserves dignity, whether or not they can afford your products. The transaction was completed in silence, the soft whisper of tissue wrapping the watch sounding almost ceremonial. Before leaving, Keanu stopped at Emma's counter and handed her a small white envelope. "This is for you," he said quietly. "Not because of what happened here today, but because you chose recognition over silence, compassion over compliance. In a world that often rewards cruelty and punishes kindness, people like you remind us why it's worth believing in goodness." Emma accepted it with trembling hands, tears welling as she realized it was more than money. It was validation from someone whose integrity was beyond question. Keanu walked toward the exit, his reflection in the glass no longer the vagrant they had tried to eject, but the gentle giant of cinema who had just delivered the most expensive lesson in humanity anyone there would ever receive. Some lessons come from books, others from experience, but the most powerful lessons come from unexpected teachers, reminding us that true worth isn't what we own, it's who we choose to be when no one is watching. The boutique would never be the same, and neither would those who witnessed the day Keanu Reeves taught Beverly Hills the difference between being rich and being valuable.